You're listening to the X-Zone Radio Show live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at www.xzone-radio.com.
The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the final hour of tonight's show. And I'd like to thank my producer at Master Control, the one and only Miss Melanie, for keeping us up on those 4 big satellites in the sky, Galaxy 4R, Telstar 7, Aglia 2, and on Satellite G3, and of course on TalkStarRadio.com streaming audio. And over at X-Zone TV, our chat room moderator, Rob from Scarborough. Guys, always great working with you. Our final guest for tonight, X-Zone Nation, is Dr. Donald Pett, M.D. He did his undergraduate studies at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland, and he did his psychiatry residency at Johns Hopkins. He's board certified, but he's retired now. He is the founder of the Educational Community, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation whose mission is to spread mental wealth and world peace. His expertise is in psychological issues of war and peace and mental wealth. And he has 2 books, The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking, Surviving and Thriving in the Nuclear Age. And Dr. Pett, welcome to the X-Zone, sir. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Rob.
Doctor, the U.S. Congress mandated a high-level commission to study the threat of weapons of mass destruction and report to President Obama. They just released their report December 2008, and I was wondering if you could tell us what the contents in an encapsulated format would be of that report.
Well, it was a very high-level group. They interviewed over 250 world experts, and they just came out with a book that was just completed their report, and they indicated that we would be, it's reasonable to expect that before 2013 is over, which is probably within the president's elected term, that we can expect the release of weapons of mass destruction. They said that basically we're losing ground, we're not gaining ground in spite of our efforts, but they did offer hope that if we keep working on it, maybe we can do something about it. But weapons of mass destruction are spreading, and they're not too effective, they feel, in all the efforts that are being done.
Doctor, what is the Doomsday Clock?
Well, the Bulletin of Atomic Science is a group that started after the atomic bomb went off. It consists of a lot of the scientists who worked on the bomb. Now they're a group of other people. There are 18 Nobel laureates in the group, And they created the Doomsday Clock as a symbolic warning that we're in great danger because of weapons of mass destruction. And they feel that they set the clock at 5 minutes to midnight, and from time to time they move the hands back or forward depending on the state of what they think the danger is. And about a year ago they moved it forward 2 minutes because of things that have been going on in the world, the proliferation of nuclear weapons and the fact that there's been more terrorism. So they're giving us a warning, basically, and these are all knowledgeable people.
Doctor, stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be right back, sir. Dr. Donald Pett is our very special guest, X-Zone Nation. His website is www.anwot.org. That stands for A Newer Way of Thinking, and once again, the website is www.anwot.org, and he's the author of The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking. We'll be back in 2 minutes as we continue live and around the world right here on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Welcome back, everyone. Our very special guest this hour is Dr. Donald Pett. And recently, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists moved the Doomsday Clock ahead to 5 minutes before midnight. Now all eyes are upon President Obama to see what is going to happen and what we can do to help our president keep us safe. Dr. Donald Pett has collected wisdom from the world's most knowledgeable mentors and from thousands of persons who've shared their journey to well-being. His 2 books, The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A New Way of Thinking, are both available free on the Internet at www.anwot.org. Once again, if you'd like to get your free copies of The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking, both of these books by our special guest this hour, Dr. Donald Pett, are available free on the Internet at www.anwot.org. Dr. Pett is founder and director of the Educational Community, Inc., a nonprofit corporation whose mission is spreading mental wealth and world peace through education. And Doctor, first of all, thank you very much for joining us tonight, sir. And what happens when the clock strikes midnight, the big doomsday clock?
Well, they're really saying that that's the time that there would be essentially the end of end of our world as we know it would be Armageddon, because the weapons that we have now are so powerful that the weapon that was used for Nagasaki and Hiroshima, for example, were the equivalent of about 15,000 tons of dynamite. Now, if we look at today's weapons, they represent about 20 million tons of dynamite. That's like 2 million trucks with 10 tons of dynamite in each truck. It's even hard to imagine that the destructive power of these weapons. They also reported the commission report that we have a greater likelihood of a biological problem because it's so easy to create germ warfare, and without being monitored. We can generally monitor radioactive materials, but germ warfare can be set off and created in a laboratory, and it's very hard to detect what's going on. The first director of the World Health Organization, Brock Chisholm, some years ago made a comment that 7 ounces of deadly biologic materials would be sufficient if properly distributed to kill everyone on Earth. So these are the kind of warnings that people have. They're coming from virtually all of our peace organizations. They come from informed citizens and most knowledgeable scientists. And the issue we have is, can we wake up to this and begin to take some action to become aware of the problem and do something about it?
Dr. Pat, what's being done to deal with the threat of weapons of ultimate destructions?
Well, the kinds of things that are being done are probably not going to create permanent world peace. For example, our government has spent millions of dollars to try to help Russia locate its lost nuclear weapons, to try to secure radioactive material. You know, we block ports for countries we think that might be making bombs. We try to negotiate, but these are the kind of things that will probably postpone activities. They're not likely going to change things. Einstein, when he created the formula that led to the first weapon of mass destruction, said that it's only a matter of time before we self-destruct unless we do one thing, and it's probably the one solution that we have available to us. He said we have to change the way we think, and that's essentially what my perspective is. I believe Einstein is correct that as long as people continue to think the way we do, we're going to have the same kind of problems we've been having in the world. You know, the way things are going, we create most of our problems. We've wiped out just about every natural enemy we have. But we ourselves now have created such things as pollution, global warming. We'll probably have large areas of starvation because of overpopulation. And now we have the spread of these weapons of mass destruction. And virtually all of this has happened within the last 100 years, if you think about it. Global warming and as a result of use of fossil fuels and so on. Yeah. So this is all within our lifetime. That's what's so dramatic. It's happening right now.
Too much, too fast.
Well, we are a world of speed and greed, and hopefully we can change that to wise creeds and good deeds.
Most people are interested in world peace, Doctor, but it seems that they don't want to get involved. Why is this?
Well, at least in my experience, if you talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends, and say, "Have you been doing any thinking about what can be done, or have you taken any active role?" Most people will say, "Well, it's really a problem, but I really haven't done anything." And the reason it's given is what's been called psychological numbing. It's a phenomenon of the mind that when we feel that there's no solution to a problem, we just push it aside. We don't want to deal with it. We just block it out.
We become ostriches.
Exactly. And, when you put your head in the sand, what sticks out, you're pretty vulnerable.
Sir. Yeah.
So that's part of the issue. And the first step, really, I think, is to help people or to become awake, to say, wake up, people. We've got some things that we can do here if we can realize that there are things that are available now. We don't have to take a hopeless, helpless attitude. That sort of shuts the energy factory down when we say, what's the use? Why bother? Who cares? That message is often, let the president or let God do it. It's beyond me.
Well, I look at life as if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Exactly. I think you're right on target, Rob.
Sir, what can people do to survive?
Well, I think the first thing is to realize that we ourselves are part of the problem, the way we think. And unless we change the way we think, that we'll probably just continue what we've done throughout history. Throughout history, we've had one war after another. We've created weapons of greater power, and there's not a weapon that's been developed that has not been used. That's our history, and that's what we've got to change. So what individuals can do is, the first, I think, read the book, The Little Engine That Could. If you remember that story that we all read, and I think I can.
Yes.
That's the first step, to turn our energy factory on, to say, well, maybe I can do something here. At least I'll try. Then I think we need to point the finger at ourselves. Our tendency is to say, well, we're not the problem. It's not us. It's them over there. Those are the people we have to change. We've got to change the terrorists. We've got to get to bin Laden and Ahmadinajad and so on. But when we look at ourselves and the way we think, most of us have what's known as two-category thinking that we learn as children. We spend the first 15 or 20 years, when our mind is not quite developed, we're very dependent on other people, and the only way we can learn to think is in what's known as dichotomous or two-category thinking. We're taught that the world is either what is good or what is bad, what's right, what's wrong. We're taught what religion is right, what is wrong. We're taught that our family, our flag, the way we think our team is the right team, and so on. So if everything that we are taught is right, then what does that mean about what's not us?
Everybody else is wrong.
Everybody else is wrong, and we've just seen, for example, in our last administration here, an example of that we're right, and then there's the axis of evil.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think in that way, that there's good and evil, right and wrong, then it really puts the other people in a position that, well, they're not deserving of our respect, and if we deal with them in a less than honorable way and so on, then it's okay because they deserve to be punished anyway. It's that kind of thinking, that creates a bit of the problem. If we block other people's ports, for example, I realize we may have to do some of these things, but it doesn't create many friends that way. I think what we're seeing now is a more greater willingness to negotiate with other people to see what we can work out in the way of dialogue, and that's what we've got to do if we're going to change.
Tell me, Doctor, do you think that we are on the eve of a major war in the Middle East with Israel and Iran, or do you think that there can be a peaceful solution to these extreme tensions that are present there now?
Well, certainly everyone has tried, and things have not been successful. Again, we go back to Einstein's solution. I don't think there's going to be a change. Generally, I'm an optimist, but unless we change the way we think about things, and so that's the key thing, is as long as people think, as I've mentioned, in this black and white, right and wrong way, then we're going to continue to have conflict, and we can't afford to have another war. There have been, through history, individuals who feel that if they're right, they should be the master race. We saw that with Hitler, and we've seen it through the past. And if we have another war, either someone will succeed or probably be successful in destroying a good bit of civilization as we understand it now. It does seem to me, though, that there is a possible solution if people can learn to what I call becoming a mental wealth millionaire.
Let's talk about that when we come back from this commercial break, sir. Dr. Donald Pett is our very special guest, X-Zone Nation. His website is www.anwot.org, and you can get both of his books free at his website. They're entitled The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking. Dr. Pett and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue live and around the world right here on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
The most famous television documentary ever produced was Victory at Sea, which was as noted for the swelling musical score by Richard Rodgers as the amazing footage from World War II gathered from over 13,000 hours of footage from U.S., British, German, and Japanese navies. RetroTelevision.com offers you 26 episodes of Victory at Sea, stunningly reproduced on DVD for just $19.95. The original 26 episodes are presented uncut with every note of Richard Rodgers' original score for just $19.95. To take advantage of this offer, go online to www.retrotelevision.com. That's R-E-T-R-O, retrotelevision, you got to spell out television.com. Or go to talkstarradio.com to get your set of Victory at Sea episodes for just $19.95.
Whether it's the arrival of Planet X in 2012, the Earth's crazy weather cycles, our deadly global warming, Armageddon, UFOs, ETs, terrorism, the critical mass 2008 presidential elections, Dr. Jason Rand talks the talk and walks the walk. Being a twice-nominated Grammy record producer, recording artist, publisher, lecturer, UFO ET researcher and investigator, and best-selling author of The Return of Planet X, Mankind's Ongoing Legacy with a Brown Dwarf Star, Dr. Jason Rand truly does walk the walk and talk the talk. For more information on Dr. Jason Rand or to order The Return of Planet X, visit his website at www.returnofplanet-x.com or call 901-336-9660. And where will you be in the year 2012?
You're listening to the X-Zone Radio Show live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at
www.xzone-radio.com.
You really should accept this time he's gone for good. All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Another summer day has come and gone away from Paris or Rome, but I wanna go home. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone. Just wanna go home. Oh, I miss you, you know. And I've been keeping all the letters that I wrote to you, each one a line or two. I'm fine, baby, how are you?
Welcome back. Let's take a look at see who joined us over the last commercial break. We've got listeners in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Hamilton, Ontario, Los Angeles, California, North Battleford, Saskatchewan, Slimer, California, Cote d'Alene in Indiana, Los Angeles, California, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Lakeside, California, Lancaster, California, Clearwater, Florida, Brooklyn, New York, Ottawa, Ontario, Windsor, Ontario, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Traverse City in Michigan, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, Regina, Saskatchewan, Mobile, Alabama, Tampa, Florida, Franklin, Ohio, Gilbert, Arizona, Conway Springs, Kansas, Windsor, Ontario, Belleville, Michigan, Poland, New York, Auburn, Washington, Pleasanton, California, Woodland Hills in California, Ferdinand Beach in Florida, Kingston, Ontario, Owen Mills in Maryland, Washington, D.C., Halifax, Nova Scotia, Burnaby, BC, Little Rock, Arkansas, Vancouver, Washington, Falmouth, Maine, Horses Head, New York, Dayton, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio. So to everyone who's just joined us in the last couple of minutes, welcome to the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. Our websites are www.xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com. My guest this hour is Dr. Donald Pett. He is the author of The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking. Both are available free of charge on his website at www.anwot.org. And that stands for a newer way of thinking. Before we went to the commercial break, Doctor, we were talking about, we've talked about everything from the Doomsday Clock. We talked about how we deal with the ultimate threat of the ultimate weapons of destruction. We talked about what we can do to survive, and you say it's going to take a newer way to think. And it makes a lot of sense, because the way that we're thinking now certainly hasn't worked over the years. We look back in time, and you see war, and with every war, every conflict, the weapons get much more destructive. So,
well, if we're directed by our instinct, our instinct is basically survival of the fittest, fight or flight. That's the basic rule. And then our immature way of thinking, as I mentioned, this two-category thinking to put it into good, bad, right, or wrong. So we've really got to change that. And I noticed that the newscast during the break, they mentioned that Hillary Clinton's comment about the problem in Pakistan. The president's the report to the president from the commission, high-level commission, was that his biggest headache is actually Pakistan. So the news was very timely. Pakistan has about 50 bombs. It's estimated they have that many nuclear weapons. And if the fundamentalists were to take over that country, you can see what a big headache it would be for everyone, especially this country.
All we need is a rogue group in there, and it would be hell on earth, if you'll excuse the expression.
Absolutely. But I think the issue is that if we can do what I've suggested, become mental wealth millionaires, acquire the wisdoms that make a difference in the way we think, there's lots of good tips about how we can be happy, how we can learn to first be a good friend to ourselves, and in doing so, learn to share some of our friendship with other people. That's the way we change our thinking, and there's lots of good information available how people can learn to be a mental wealth millionaire.
Could you give us a couple of examples, sir?
Sure. One of the first things that we need to do is learn to endorse ourselves. Most people are pretty good at endorsing other people. They stand up at a athletic event and they'll cheer. They'll have a child or a dog, and they'll talk to that child or dog in a way that the dog will wag its tail and shake its behind and get excited. But we don't do that to ourselves. We tend to be down on ourselves. If we're critical on ourselves, we tend to be critical of other people as well. So one of the first steps is to learn some of the skills of self-endorsement and to be our own best friend. I'm afraid to say that my experience is that a lot of times if we are our own worst enemy as an individual, then we do the same thing in the community and so on. So that's the first step. And then I think there are skills that we can teach ourselves in terms of the way we relate to other people. In my work with literally thousands of individuals, I've gotten a lot of information that I've put together in a curriculum that individuals can study, and that's what basically the books are about. So, for example, another example would be we tend to blame other people. If you look at the newspaper, you'll see countries are blaming one another, and you have a political election, we blame one another. That's the kind of behavior that we really need to change and see if we can find other ways to deal with ourselves and with other people.
Why do we have wars? Are they really necessary, or is this just something we do to flex our muscles because we want to be king of the castle?
Well, our biology tells us that we're back to this fight-or-flight survival of the fittest way of thinking. And what has worked in an uncivilized society is to have bigger weapons. Bigger muscles are those who survive. Just the opposite is what happens in this situation. If everyone has a weapon of ultimate destruction that can do such damage and last for such a long time, who is going to be the biggest target? The biggest target is going to be those who are felt to be the strongest. If the weak has weapons that can do such damage to the strong, the weak are going to generally look for the strongest to attack first, and that's one of the reasons why we have such a problem right now. Then we're certainly probably the strongest nation and are likely going to be the target for the terrorists. It's already been said that's the case. So as long as we can continue to be guided by our biology and by the way we're brought up in our thinking, and we don't develop a more civilized way of thinking, then yes, we are going to have wars, and that's what we've seen throughout history.
I often look at the world in a totally different way than most people, and it seems to me that if we were to respect the other philosophies of the other people around the world and learn about them, understand them and have them understand us, and just use some common sense, that these wars that we keep on having would be meaningless.
Well, that's you're right on target there, because the maturity is being able to deal with the world with common sense, not based on the kind of early thinking that we learn. If we can learn to be mature and say what's going to happen in the long term, not just the short term. We have what I call the magical problem-solving sentence. If people would deal with most of the issues in their life this way, using this simple sentence, and here it goes: given this situation, what's likely going to make things better for me and you, for now and later? If you listen to those words, no one is being blamed. We're not looking to hurt anyone. We're looking to have a win-win situation for both parties and deal with what's going to be a better outcome now and later. That kind of thinking would lead to problem solving instead of what we usually do, say that if I'm right, then the other person needs to be compliant or punished in order to bring about some kind of satisfaction. So,
what can the average citizen do to keep world peace going, or to make world peace happen?
Well, the first is we've got to wake up that there is a problem. So if you're standing on the railroad track and the train is coming, but you don't know the train is coming, then you're not going to do anything. So the very first step is to wake up to the fact that these issues are real. The majority of the scientists who are informed and world peace groups and so on who are warning us, these are not cuckoo people. They know what they're saying, but we just don't listen to them. So the first step is that we need to be aware of it so that we can do something. Then we have marvelous problem-solving ability. If people will talk to one another about the issue, spend a little time thinking about, is there something that I can do, and we can develop a different way of dealing with other people. Gradually, it will, I think, will spread over to those people that are under the influence of terrorists and rogue leaders and so on. The radical individuals who feel that they have to become the master race and that only their way is going to survive. I believe that everyone virtually has buried within them a strong desire for world peace. It's probably the most spoken prayer that anyone has, that I wish we would have world peace. And if we can just get through the veneer, the amount of energy would be unstoppable. But we need to get people talking to one another and involved, I hope, in study groups. That one of my goals would be that we could develop groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or Recovery Incorporated, the self-help groups that will get together, and instead of being there for some illness, that they will learn some of the basic skills that they can relate to one another and join together. And we have enough of a grassroots movement. I think we're going to get our world leaders' attention, and it's going to make quite a bit of difference.
And I also think that that part of the equation would be that we have to take responsibility for our actions instead of passing the buck.
Well, that's another one of the simple changes we can make in our thinking. If instead of saying he, she, or that, or they, or it make me, or I did something bad, if we just say I allow that means we take responsibility. The first 15 or 20 years of our life, again, we're being taken care of. We come to expect in our early years that the world should take care of us. But we learn to brush our teeth. We learn to feed ourselves. We learn to support ourselves. We do everything except learn to endorse ourselves and be our own best friend. Usually we're taught that if you say nice things to yourself about yourself, you're being self-centered. So as a result, that's an area that we haven't really developed, and that would be one of the first starts. Your point of taking responsibility, simply say, I allow, instead of listening to the blaming that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
If individual would make a little tape recording of their thinking, it would be another example. You usually hear a little conversation going on as though there were a couple of people or a group of people inside. That's the way we think. Listen to that tape recording, play it over a couple of times, and ask yourself, are there two really good friends talking to one another, or is there a terrorist in there saying, you should have been this way, or you're putting yourself down? That's the kind of thing that a simple thing that we could do. When you get up in the morning, Rob, what do you say to yourself when you look in the mirror?
I usually say good morning.
That's a very good way to do it. A good morning would be great. Yep. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that, but if instead individuals would look at the mirror and say, I'm such a hot sketch, I really like me, I like what I'm doing, that's a good way to start the day.
Of course, because if you don't like yourself, no one else will.
We spread, well, they say what goes around comes around. What we put out to other people is what comes back to us.
Karma.
One of the things that mental wealth creates is the desire to be helpful to other people. You know, as others do, that one of the most important things we can do is give something of value of ourselves to other people, the people that we care for, the people that we love.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel really good when we do that, and there's no limit when you acquire the wisdoms that make a difference in your life and then can share those with other people.
I was talking in the previous hour with the Reverend Brian Kneep of the Aetherius Society, and the conversation was very much like we are talking now. All we have to do is open ourselves to other people, and a very simple way to see whether you're connected or not is to smile at a stranger and watch what happens. They'll smile right back. We do have the means, we do have the ability, we just have to use our common sense, and cooler heads will prevail. We have to take our final break for this hour, Doctor. Please stand by. Dr. Donald Pett is our very special guest. His website is www.anwot.org, and that is where you can get 2 of his books absolutely free. The first book is entitled The Short Course to Mental Wealth and A Newer Way of Thinking. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X-Zone, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'll be back on the other side of this break with Dr. Pett as we wrap down tonight's show here on the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away.
Always wanted to play the guitar? With the Victor Lee Guitar Method, if you've got a song you can hum in the shower, in just one easy lesson, you can start actually to read sheet music and play the guitar. You'll be playing beautifully in no time, and the tunes you write can actually be played on other instruments using the government-endorsed Victor Lee Guitar Translator. Victor Lee's amazing offer is online at www.victorleeguitarmethod.com. Learn how to play beautifully the guitar and read music and translate the music you write to be played on other instruments. Music is the international language, and the copyrighted Victor Lee Guitar Translator instructions are available in most languages spoken around the world. Go now to www.victorleeguitarmethod.com. Open yourself to a wonderful world of music. www.victorleeguitarmethod.com.
Are you getting tired of all the bad news? Well, then take a break from the worries of the world and play the love game. It's time to focus on what is really important in our lives, our relationships. You deserve more love, happiness, and harmony in your life. Synchro Hearts is the new hot relationship game that guarantees more love, laughter, and romance for you and your partner. It's not a sex game, it's a love game based on all the important relationship stuff like better communication, more intimacy, and lots of fun and excitement. Great intimacy is just one of the benefits of playing Synchro Hearts. Now, President Obama inspires hope, love, and peace for the world. Synchro Hearts offers more hope, love, and harmony for relationships. To order your very own edition of Synchro Hearts, visit Synchro Hearts' website now at www.synchrohearts.com. That's www.syncrohearts.com. Synchro Hearts. It's the game you love to play and play to love.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight. Eric Haas and I talked about his book, Apocalypse Near. We did, from 1955, the 6th episode of X-1 in hour number 2. Hour number 3, the Reverend Brian Kniep joined me. He is the Executive Secretary of the U.S. Atheria Society. And my very special guest this hour is Dr. Donald Pett. We're talking about the Doomsday Clock, and we're also talking about the 2 books, Exonation, that you can get 100% free by going to Dr. Pett's website at www.anwot.org. That's www.anwot.org, which stands for A Newer Way of Thinking. First of all, Doctor, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a great pleasure having you here. And I was wondering if you could tell us about about your organization that you formed, the educational community.
Well, at one time I worked as part of my military obligation. I worked at the Narcotics Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, and we set up a special building to work in rehabilitating individuals. And in getting the group together, we said, how are we going to set up this program, and what are we going to call it? And one person said, well, I think we're a community here. We're going to try to work together. And another person said, we're going to try to educate ourselves. And that was born the name, the educational community. And since then, we've applied some of the education processes in private practice. And then through some private funding, we've started a nonprofit corporation whose mission is to spread mental wealth and world peace. So that's the background, and that's why we can offer the books that I've created and other information free on the internet. The cost of educating through electronic material is virtually nil. It's for about $300 actually. You can have a internet website, and anyone anywhere in the world at any time can get that information at no cost. So that's a great opportunity that we have to tell people that we can learn very rapidly if we'll only use the media that are available to us. I also wanted to mention that you know, and I think most individuals know individuals who don't have much in the way of the silver spoons. They don't have wealth particularly. They're not especially good looking. They don't have unusual intelligence. Mm-hmm. Yet they seem to thrive and survive in life. They live with chronic enthusiasm, and they just enjoy life. These individuals have skills that are worthwhile trying to understand and recognize. Instead, what most of us do, we spend our lives pursuing physical health. We pamper our bodies, and we look for having more money, often more than we need. So it's a matter of turning to what are the skills that lead us to really be happy. Those are never going to be taken away from you. People who accumulate a fair money have had a lot of grief lately, and we just heard about a suicide apparently related to the issue of money.
That's right. Doctor, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight, sir. Continued success. I love what you're doing, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
I appreciate that. You know, the media are such an important part of spreading the word, and you're doing your job. I really appreciate you as well.
Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself. Dr. Donald Pett has been our special guest this hour, www.anwot.org. That's it for tonight, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us here on the X Zone. It's because of you. This show is growing, and we're gaining more and more affiliates each and every week. So until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, my good friends, take care of each other. And always, always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night.